I'm Patrick Flores. I teach art history at the University of the Philippines. I'm also an adjunct curator of the National Art Gallery of the Philippines and Singapore. I was a participant at one of the platforms of Global Art and Museum in Hong Kong in 2008, and I was also a participant in a seminar here in Germany, also with regard to the same project. And I'm a member now of the advisory council or committee for this exhibition. Well, the advisory committee is composed of critics, curators, historians who have been tasked to advise the curators of the exhibition, The Global Contemporary. So they meet and they discuss about the exhibition and propose certain strategies towards its realization. Yeah, I think it's a tough exhibition, and I can say that one needs to include the spectacles of the global. So on the one hand, you need the very production of the global, meaning how the things that the global produces. On the other hand, one must also include the processes of that particular production. So I think you need both the spectacle of the global and the processes of making that spectacle possible. So it's a combination of objects, exhibitions, things, in other words, and on the one hand, and ethnographies. I think everyday life of how the global is produced in specific settings. So it's a combination of these two things. Well, I envision the space for the exhibition as a cross, something like a cross between an archive and an airport under construction. So on the one hand, you need some kind of intimacy and an atmosphere of contemplation as you think about the global, because it's a very dense and complex discourse, and it's the texts are very central. Writing, theory, criticism are very central in the very production of the global. On the other hand, it also has to have a feeling of fleetingness, of transitoriness, of being in the process of becoming, and at the same time very fluid, with people coming and going, with things being made right before one's very eyes. So this combination of transitoriness and sedimentation of knowledge must be projected in the site of the exhibition. Well, global is quite a difficult term to define, but for me it's a certain characterization of history that aspires to be universal and singular. But in its effort to do so, or in its attempt to do so, it represses so many things. Like it represses the plural, it represses multiplicity, it represses otherness, and yeah, it represses particularity. So I think the global becomes meaningless if seen outside the things it represses. But on the other hand, it loses its potency if it doesn't aspire to singularity. So it's a very fraught and vexing term. No? On the one hand, it's it's inherently contradictory. It has the desire to be singular, but at the same time represses a specificity. But without repressing specificity, it loses its potential to become radically productive. So I see the global as a site of contradiction, antinomy, and I think and it becomes productive if seen in the fullness of its contradiction.